Dear viewer, good evening and welcome to Current Issue. With me tonight, the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI, Mr. Tim Waters. Tim, welcome to MBA.
Thank you, Wally. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Usually, we get almost a lot of people from the FBI coming here and trying to reach the community, trying to speak to the community, build those bridges, which is very important. Tell me, Tim, and remind our viewer, what's your daily work at the FBI? What do you tackle? Do you tackle the regular crime? I mean, we have the police, we have the state police, we have, what's FBI tackle every day?
Yeah, I mean, we do. We tackle a little bit of everything. We're more focused on, obviously, we're almost exclusively focused on federal crimes. So, within our office, we have our head of our office, Dave Gelios, the special agent in charge, who's been on your show a few times. And under him, there's 5 what we call assistant special agents in charge, and I'm one of them.
Okay.
And each one of us has a different piece of the pie, so to speak. And for me, it's the national security program. So I have counterterrorism, counterintelligence, and cyber that fall underneath me. And so I probably have approximately 130 agents and task force officers that work for me.
And this is the most important, honestly.
Well, I mean, I think my counterparts would argue theirs is the most important. But
I mean, for the situation we are and the world we are living today.
Believe me, I feel that way.
This is the most important to us.
I feel that way, and I know the people that work for me feel that way, and are very dedicated towards the mission that we do. And you just need to look around you at the world around us, and it's unfortunately the way it is right now, and we have to be able to address it, and that's the role of myself and the folks that work with me on this.
Yeah, Timmy, tell me, how is your relation with the, in Michigan? I know you are in Detroit Division, but how is your relation in Michigan and nationwide with other enforcement agency, the ICE, the immigration, the state? Are you guys working together to keep us safe?
Well, that's a great question, and it's been a point I've been trying to drive home these last few weeks with 9/11, the anniversary coming up this weekend.
Yes.
As I've said over and over again, the fight against terrorism, it's not a single agency fight, and obviously it's the whole of government approach. So in that regard, specifically with terrorism, we have the Joint Terrorism Task Force that works out of our building, the federal building downtown. And on that, I mean, the FBI is a component of it. We're kind of the lead agency for it, but honestly, it is there's state, local, federal agencies, intelligence community partners. There are, 35 to 45 individuals on a daily basis from all these different local agencies.
And working together.
We all work together. They
Excellent.
sit down, they work cases, they're assigned the same responsibilities as the agents are.
Yes.
We are joined at the hip and how we work this issue.
Okay.
And it's, I'll tell you, if you ask what one of the key differences post 9/11, that is it. Just the recognition that because of the differences that have been highlighted as a result of the 9/11 Commission of people not being able to share information adequately and things of those natures. We've learned those lessons, and we continue. We're not perfect, but on a daily basis, you have a bunch of very dedicated people from throughout the community, that the law enforcement community, the intelligence community, that work this threat together. And if I can just highlight one other thing too, it's just, we recognize it's just not like a law enforcement issue. It's a community outreach issue also.
Absolutely.
And I know you recognize this.
And we're gonna come and talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So I won't steal your thunder, but
but again, we're talking about Michigan. We're talking about the nation. Do you have, for example, offices in the embassies overseas in Europe, in the Middle East? Where is the problem coming from? So you could communicate and avoid those criminals doing their act here before it happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's the phrase you used. I mean, really, it's a very difficult thing that we do. We're trying to prevent a crime and solve a crime and charge a crime that actually hasn't even happened yet.
Yes.
And that's a very difficult thing to do. But to answer your question specifically, yes, we have offices in I believe 76 countries now, all over the world.
As part of our embassies?
Yes, I mean, we have what's referred to as legal attaches with anywhere from 1 to 10 or 15 people, depending on the country and the type of work we're doing, and we're all over the place. We're in Europe, we're in the Middle East, we're in Asia, and really what we're doing is we're working within the State Department, with the interagency, with the host country partners. It's not like we're over there doing investigations. We don't do that generally, unless the host country asks for our assistance. But we are there to liaison with that host nation. Are
they working with us, giving us enough information?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's not. Obviously there can be differences at times. Like I served in Pakistan in 2010 and 2011, and for the most part, the relationship was very good. At times, things become strained, and you try to establish those relationships so you can get through those difficult times, especially when it's political. So.
Tim, 15 years ago, not just the FBI, the whole federal agencies, the immigration, the ICE, the Border Patrol, the FBI, they were like isolated from the community.
Mm-hmm.
And a person in the community, when they go to go to the FBI, they think back home, they go into the istikhbarat, the amen.
Yeah.
And it's so, he doesn't have nothing, but it's the idea.
Right.
Today, I see federal agency, it's an open-minded, it's a welcoming offices to everybody.
Yeah.
I go to the immigration or FBI, I see people sitting, talking, waiting for their turn to come.
Right.
And people at the counter, greeting them and all that.
Right.
And this is helping the community.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Tell me what kind of program you have to reach those communities.
Yeah, I mean, we have an extensive program. Bushra Alawi and Will Council and Rhonda Kennedy and a whole group of people that are out in the community every day trying to, build relationships, establish trust, do all the things that we can to, let the community know, look, we're out there, we are servants of the people. The mission of the FBI is to protect the people of the United States and uphold the Constitution. It's a very simple statement, and as such, we work for the people, and there is some mistrust out there at times, and really what we're trying to do through our outreach efforts is to break down those barriers, break down those misperceptions that some people may have, especially new immigrants to the country. The United States is a land of immigrants. It's what makes us the greatest country on earth. The fact that we're willing to accept and assimilate people from all over the world, all walks of life, every race, color, creed, it makes us stronger. It doesn't make us weaker. And so, we in the FBI recognize that. I know our director recognizes that. And honestly, we're actually going through a process right now where, we're kind of doing some self-introspection where we're trying to figure out, like, how do we, because if you look at the cadre of agents we have right now in the FBI, it doesn't quite correlate to what the population is in the United States. So we're trying to address that right now. We have all sorts of recruiting events going on, and we're trying to better have the FBI look better, more representative of what the country is.
Yes. Honestly, I attend a lot of events. And everywhere I go, I see people from the FBI talking to the community, talking about issue in the community, understanding, build those bridges of a trust between, and that help a lot. And I think this is why today the FBI and other federal agencies are welcoming officers to the community, because that trust of relation. And honestly, the FBI, if it's from Andy, John Bell to Andy to Paul to David, they're doing a great job reaching to the community. I attend a lot of events, and I see them in every event. And we do interview with them with their event.
Dave is out quite a bit.
Absolutely. But let me ask you this. As you mentioned, you have about probably, in just your department, there's about 120 officers. Do you give him educational program about ethnic minorities, and not just the Middle Eastern, the Indian, the Latino, different culture, and they have to deal with them in a way they understand the culture. Do you do that in your office?
Well, we do it nationally through the FBI. I mean, there's Cultural Awareness Month every single month where we, there's Black History Month, there's we recognize Hispanics, we recognize Middle Eastern people, we recognize people from all different walks of life, and it changes on a monthly basis. And during that month, we'll put on cultural events where people can come in, sit down, usually have like a lunch from that community, and experience the food, and then we'll have speakers come up and really just talk about.
Great.
Yeah, it really it is a great program, and honestly,
but your
it's
age,
needed.
are you teaching them? Are you giving them courses in diversities and all that?
Yeah, I mean, diversity training is mandatory training in the FBI, and we do talk about it quite a bit. But really, I mean, for the agent population, that the ones that are out doing the investigations, they're out on the street every day, and they're immersed in the communities where they're working, obviously. And so I think a lot of that happens through on the job, just do through the work. But there is a process for training. But I think where the rubber meets the road and where people really come to know and understand the community is by working with the community, being out in the community, talking to people, etc.
Great. Is your office reflect the population of the community? We look at Michigan,
right,
and I think about 30% is other ethnic minorities and all that. Is your office reflect the community?
Yeah, I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but I would hazard a guess that no, it doesn't. Just to be brutally honest.
What are you doing to make it happen?
Yeah, so I mean, as a great example, just this was a few months in the making. We spent months trying to figure out how do we better recruit, because we're everywhere, right? We're trying to recruit, but yet we still don't get the numbers. I mean, it is a difficult, lengthy process to get in the FBI. There's tons of vetting that goes on. There's all sorts of background checks. There's a whole litany of. It's not an easy process. It takes in some case a year or two just to get through it. Okay. And so, having said that, we're looking for the very best, the very brightest people out there, and we know they exist in all these communities. And it's just trying to get to those people that want to work with and serve their country, which is what how I look at what we do on a daily basis. So, as I was saying before, we put together a community outreach event where we brought in, we looked at alumni associations, the different businesses, community organizations. We looked at a lot with the different colleges and things of that nature, and we brought all these people into our office about 3 weeks ago and spent about 3 to 4 hours with them trying to educate them on what the FBI does, and then trying to enlist their help to go back out into their communities and their organizations to spot and assess for us people that they think would be good additions for the FBI.
Great.
And so that is ongoing now. It's a process. We've gotten a lot of potential recruits out of it, and it's just getting them through the process is what we're working on right now.
Well, the community is so large, and an organization, with all my respect to all of them, they're doing a great job. They're not reaching the community. But now you're speaking to hundreds of thousands of people watching you. Are you interested in recruiting a qualified Middle Eastern agent with you?
If someone is interested in joining the FBI, all they need to do is call the FBI and ask to speak to the recruiter.
Oh, call your office?
Yeah, they can do that, or they can go on FBIjobs.gov, and the application's right there. And there's two avenues. There's obviously as an agent, but we have a cadre of hundreds of people that are critical to the organization's success. That's called the professional staff, professional support employees. They make the office run. They do a whole litany of different jobs that are critical to our success. Everything from language analysts to clerical work to even surveillance. I mean,
many different positions.
Many different positions. And honestly, so there's a lot of different opportunities to do really interesting things in the FBI. You can serve in the United States. You can serve overseas, as we just talked about.
Yes.
So yeah, it is an excellent career. There's obviously, like I tell people, you'll never be rich, but you'll never be poor. And honestly, the satisfaction that comes from serving your country is worth that.
Absolutely, it's worth it. And I encourage all, especially the young people, to work and be part of the federal agency, be part of the government. Because if you want to relay your message, if you want to make the difference, get involved.
Right.
And that's the best way of getting involved.
That is exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tim, we know September 11, soon. I think it's Sunday.
It is, yeah.
Sunday. And of course, during that time, the tension is there. And honestly, the September 11 hurt all of us, including the Arab and the Middle Eastern community throughout the nation. And we are honestly so upset with all the hurt we have, and somebody, a few of them, telling you, you're the one who did it.
Yeah.
Your people did it.
Yeah.
And it's a sad situation.
Yeah, that's just, that's ignorance, honestly, but,
Yeah.
right.
And now we have Eid al-Adha is going to be either Sunday or Monday, and people celebrate because it's Eid,
Right.
What's your advice? I mean, if it's somebody from average American, look at them celebrating, you might think they celebrate September
Yeah.
11th.
Yeah,
So this is very, very crucial.
Right,
And I want
right.
you to highlight
yeah.
what should we do, how should we handle it?
Yeah, I mean, it's listen, the people are here, it's a religious holiday, they should celebrate the holiday like they normally do. That would be my recommendation. Having said that, what we did, when members through our community outreach efforts, members of the community, the religious community specifically, reached out and told us, look, we have these holidays coming up, we're concerned about misperceptions. What we did in the FBI is we took that information, we passed that information to the local law enforcement, and then we disseminated it out into the various communities just as a kind of information so people were aware. Did it reach everybody? I'm sure it hasn't, but
Yes.
it's I think I would like to think we've gotten to a point where people don't look at the community as not that there were a few bad people that came over here to do us harm.
In every community there is
and
very
you're-
few
and you were-
bad and
right,
yeah.
absolutely. And you
But
don't
majority,
and you don't paint a broad brush to an entire
Absolutely,
community.
no.
People that
Yeah.
are here, that are working hard, that are good Americans.
Yes.
Yep.
So what's your advice to them? Should they make it celebrating in public? I mean, we don't want to ask them not to celebrate.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no,
not.
absolutely
This is a
not.
religion holiday.
No, no.
But what kind of caution they should? And if something happened, they celebrating in the restaurant and all that, and some, excuse my language, some idiot, he look at them and he's thinking they celebrating the killing of the people on September 11th,
right.
and he tried to do harm to them.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time answering that question, to be honest with you, only because
What they should call you?
No,
They should call the police.
No, well, I would tell people to celebrate their American citizens. They have rights to celebrate their religious holidays, and they should do so. Should they be cognizant of the way, of maybe how people around them are perceiving them, and then maybe they can engage with those individuals to let them know why they're doing that? That's what I would encourage. I would
Yes.
encourage dialogue. Just that's how we get through these things. We constant communication, working to better understand each other. That would be my recommendation.
Great. In the closing, I want you to give 2 minutes a message to the community. You inside the office, when you discuss the issue of the Middle, and this time is Middle Eastern community.
Okay.
When you discuss the issue of the Middle Eastern community, what comes in that discussion, and what message you want to relay to the community?
Well, I guess, my boss, Dave Gelios, does a lot of outreach with every different community,
Yes.
obviously, not just the Middle Eastern
I
community.
see him myself.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's part of our job, and we have to understand the concerns and the challenges that are in the different communities and do it and do our part to engage so they know that, so everyone knows what we're trying to do, and we can better partner in that endeavor. Because really, at the end of the day, the FBI is just trying to keep people safe. That's our mission. That's what we're trying to do. So, and obviously we work within the laws and the Constitution, and we have congressional oversight and everything else. So, so when you ask me that question, what do we talk about the Middle Eastern community? At least in my branch, I don't think we necessarily look at it that way. There are specific individuals that that we have investigations against that that there's information that they could potentially represent a threat. So I don't look at it as a community issue. I look at it as specific individuals. That's
Yes.
from my branch, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Tim, thank you very much for coming here. Highlight the issue that You want to relate that to community?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me
And
on.
honestly, you're doing a great job.
No, thanks, Wally. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and your folks here and allowing us to engage with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Dear reviewer, that was my interview with the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI for Detroit Division, Tim Waters. Honestly, I see the head of federal agency, and especially the FBI, come into our event, try to reach us, try to open their door to us, their heart. They're not after you to investigate you. No, they want to reach everybody, and they do it with all the community. So please work with them. When you see them, go and thank them for protecting ourselves and our property and our family. And if you see something, say something. Because that terrorists, that criminals, they don't know, they don't have difference between Middle Eastern and Latino or American. They want to hurt the people, and they want to hurt you and your family too. So please, if you say something, and when you see any person, not just from the FBI, working for federal agency, law enforcement, work with them and thank them for the safety they've given us, the comfortable life they've given us. Thank you and good night.